The top 3 hard skills that every project manager needs. These are what the skills are. Welcome everyone, my name is Max Mao. I am a PMP certified project manager with years of project management experience in the software and health tech industry. Today, let's go over the top 3 hard skills that every project manager needs in order to be successful. So the first skill, having technical knowledge and having technical understanding. I think this is pretty intuitive for those who have project management experience. The more that you have under your tool belt, the more prepared you will be for any project. So what I mean by technical knowledge is having an understanding of the 2 types of project management structures. The first of which is waterfall type projects. Waterfall projects are typically standard types of implementations where variables are known and everything is in a really controlled state. Whether that's from the process of starting a project to finishing a project to how a project is handed off, all of that information has already been defined, and thus a waterfall project oftentimes is a quote-unquote more constant one. So what does a waterfall project entail? It basically means that the scope and the variables are pretty much defined. For the most part, you're following a pretty cut and dry schedule in terms of the time management and the time commitment. The project management knowledge and tools that you'll need includes being able to develop a project management plan. There are many good templates out there to use as a starting reference, but I do emphasize that every single project is completely different. So it's not a one-size-fits-all. Honestly, this sounds like a lot of material, but a lot of the information that I'm presenting here, you actually pick up while you're on the job. In addition to waterfall type projects, I wanted to also highlight agile projects as well. So what is an agile project? Agile projects are for more variable-based, for instance, scopes, requirements, things of that nature are not necessarily completely defined from the very beginning. Agile projects are very common when it comes to software development projects. Whether you're building a website, releasing a new product. In terms of the software side, typically agile projects include some type of collaboration between software engineers, project manager, and the product manager, where the product manager is the one who essentially writes out the user stories, and the project manager or the scrum master is the one in charge of identifying any roadblocks and making sure that the development team can move forward in a very efficient manner. Typically, these projects utilize something called a sprint. So what a sprint means is a shorter duration of work to get out some type of end result. Sprints typically can last up to 2 weeks, and during that time period, the developers or your team that you're working with will have some type of key goal or key metric that they're trying to hit. When it comes to project management knowledge, similar to a magician, the more tricks you have up your sleeve, the more prepared you'll be for your audience. Now, what I mean by this is having a baseline understanding of the project management guidelines and the PMBOK structure by having some type of baseline knowledge to refer back to or understanding the structure of how you should approach a project. This can save you so much time and can give you some sort of expertise in a field that you may not have encountered before. A couple of tips I have in order to boost your project management knowledge is number 1, to take some type of intro course in order to understand the basic implementation and project management toolbox. An example of this is to use the Udemy course for the 35 PDUs. This is in preparation for the PMP exam, but anyone can take and sign up for the course. The course is under $15 using a promo code that you can find on Reddit. It's a great standard resource to teach you about waterfall, agile principles, and typically how a project manager thinks. If you're an experienced project manager, I recommend you trying to get your PMP certification. This is the Project Management Professional certification. It requires a set amount of experience and education in order to take the exam and to pass. For those who are interested in passing the PMP exam, I've created a 2023 study guide, which I will link up here. So please take a look if you get the chance. The second hard skill that every project manager should have is good organization skills. Projects oftentimes have multiple moving parts. You're constantly reprioritizing your focus between meetings, between feedback, between answering emails and follow-ups, and also constantly putting out fires. Having good organization skills is a necessity for project managers. Having great organization skills is a life and time saver. The more organized you are, the more efficient you'll be, as you'll know where all your tools are, you'll know what your processes are, and everything will be completely laid out so that anyone who's a part of your project can follow along. From your physical workstation to your desktop, establishing habits of being organized in your workspace can help you find things so much easier, and oftentimes, if you're using a laptop, can help it run faster too. The same goes for working with your teams and stakeholders. The more concise and consolidated your project materials are, the easier it will be for any team members or stakeholders to track any updates or changes that happen along. So here's some tips on how you can better your organization skills. Set aside time on a weekly or monthly basis to just clean up your workspace, whether that's taking the time to wipe away the dust on your desk that's probably accumulated from years of work, or just clearing out your browser and making sure that any outdated materials are properly archived or stored. When it comes to working with your teams and stakeholders, try to always keep in the front of your mind organization, whether that's putting resources and consolidating materials into a concise location, or when it comes to incorporating new resources, making sure that the materials and deliverables are tracked easily and they're placed in a position for long-term maintenance. Per a recent survey, on average, Americans spend 25% of their work week looking for things they need to do for their job. That is crazy when you think of 1/4 of their work week is spent literally finding the things to get the job done. The third hard skill that a project manager needs is having good negotiation and conflict resolution skills. You're usually balancing between your company's and your client's goals. And oftentimes these goals, they may not align 100% of the time. Whether that's a client who wants to change the scope of what was initially signed in the contract, or to change the timelines for when a deliverable needs to be sent out. As a project manager, you are not only responsible for managing the project, a huge part of your responsibility is also managing the people. When there's any type of conflict that arises, it is your job to find the course of best resolution in order to move forward. Here are some tips for how you can set yourself up for more success when it comes to negotiation and conflict resolution. Always treat people with respect and try to take the time to understand any cultural considerations or differences in personalities. When it comes to projects, the people oftentimes can be very variable in terms of how they like to operate, how they work best. By getting to understand your teams and to understand what their objectives are, you can align those with the goals of the project so that it's a win-win when working with your teammates. For internal teams, oftentimes when you're starting a project from scratch, it's good to create some type of team charter, a document that houses a set of rules that everyone on the team needs to abide by. Typically, this is for internal teams where team members will put in their communication preferences. They'll put in expectations on when things should be delivered and updates, and it really sets the tone for how the team will work together in order to complete the goal. This is super helpful because it puts the responsibility of the charter not only on the project manager, but also on all of the team members as well, as the entire team is responsible for developing and coming up with the rules. For clients and stakeholders, always try to be empathetic and understand their goals and objectives when it comes to a project. For any unknowns or anticipated areas of conflict, log those as risks and create a risk management plan in order to appropriately triage it. Last but not least, have effective stakeholder engagement and communication management plans. These will be super helpful in order to better understand how your stakeholders like to be reached, how you can escalate any issues to them quickly. In summary, these are 3 great hard skills that every project manager should know. Please comment down below and share what hard skills you use. Thank you.